What a joy to be with you. I am the Reverend Lynn Gardner. She and they are my pronouns.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Wendy Bartel. Please use my name, Wendy, rather than pronouns, as she, he, and they just really are not a good fit, but Wendy is. All month, we've been exploring the newly articulated Unitarian Universalist values. Not that we didn't already have these values, we just didn't articulate them quite the same way before. Those values have been named specifically from our denomination: justice, pluralism, interdependence, generosity, love, equity, and transformation. Those are a lot of big words with a lot of big meanings. And some wonderful religious education professionals in our denomination realized it might be easier to remember them all with a little help. A mnemonic, which is a device that helps us remember something. And because we UUs like to have a variety of options from which to choose our own adventure, there are at least two mnemonics. One is Jet Pig, and our preferred option, J Piglet. J, justice. Piglet, pluralism, interdependence, generosity, love at the center, equity, and transformation. J Piglet. And we need all the help we can get to remember our values, to remember what matters to us, because each and every one of them are going to get challenged. And it is vitally important that we remember who we are and what we value as we go about our days in these next 4 years and more.
Interdependence teaches us that we are connected to the land, to the water, the plants and animals. We're connected to each other. We gather this morning in Schenectady, New York, and in Zoom from different parts of the capital region and across the country. This land upon which we gather here is known as the land of the Mohawk, the Kanyen'kehá:ka, who were traditionally keepers of the eastern door and part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, along with the Oneidas, Onondagas, Cayugas, and Senecas. Indigenous people all over the continent have been displaced, or worse, by explorers, colonists, colonizers, all inspired by the doctrine of discovery of the late 15th century. This doctrine has its roots in a papal decree issued by Pope Nicholas V in 1452 that specifically sanctioned and promoted the conquest, colonization, and exploitation of non-Christian territories and peoples. It was like one large permission slip to go and do damage. Hundreds of years of decisions and laws continuing right up to our own time can ultimately be traced back to the doctrine of discovery. Laws that invalidate or ignore the rights, sovereignty, and humanity of Indigenous peoples in the United States and around the world. Chief Oren Lyons of the Onondaga describes the doctrine as one that declared Indigenous peoples non-human in 1493. And for centuries, Christian explorers worked to dominate, decimate, and obliterate first inhabitants on lands all over the world. The dispossession of land, of place, of home, the resulting impoverishment of entire nations, boarding schools seeking cultural erasure. The effects are felt still. The mentality of the doctrine lives on in white supremacy culture and patriarchy, which both seek to subjugate and demean people. Our faith teaches us to resist white supremacy and patriarchy, which can be hard work because they are everywhere, including in us. So when we choose kindness, compassion, and creativity, we are resisting mindsets, theologies, and systems that seek to do harm. When we say that Black Lives Matter, we are resisting. When we interrupt that relative or friend this week who says mean things and ask them to stop speaking falsehoods or stop talking about things that they really don't know anything about, or maybe just please stop talking, we are resisting. Authoritarianism thrives in part because well-intended people are unwilling to interrupt bad behavior. Start practicing if you haven't already. Kindness includes setting boundaries that offer protection. If someone says something untrue, it's okay to say so. You don't have to engage in the argument. You can stay rooted in your values of equity. You can just say firmly, but not threateningly, "That's not true. Please don't say that." And then bring up something interesting or funny or otherwise true. If they want to argue, breathe in peace. Breathe out love. Move to another space if you can.
Or maybe you could start singing the Barney song. I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. Kiss from me to you, yes. Don't you say you love me too. Stop talking this way. We love each other. And if that doesn't work, you could just say, because players gonna play, 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 and the haters gonna hate, 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 hate. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. Shake it off, shake it off.
Dinner is going to be so fun.
Reminding ourselves that we love one another is an important thing at the holidays. Now, depending on the power dynamics in any given room and in any relationship, we know that can be harder or sometimes easier depending on the circumstances to do. We get that. We have relatives, we have friends, we know. And we can continue to be horrified by cabinet appointments, yes, but we are going to have to do more than be horrified. We are going to need one another in ways we hadn't considered before, enacting our value of interdependence in profound and deep ways. We're going to need to engage in our spiritual practices. We've been talking about that all fall. Maybe all of our spiritual practices, all the things that help us feel grounded and centered that we do with attention, intention, and repetition. We're going to need one another to act and to reflect, to defend and to love mightily. We are going to need to find our clarity and our courage. And we're going to need to play. To play, to laugh, to build with blocks, to color outside the lines, to drink in beauty, to hold stuffed animals, to blow bubbles, to gaze at clouds, to play games cooperatively so that more people win, to hug one another, and to share nourishing bread. A lot is going to break our hearts. So we need to become very skilled at caring for one another so that we are each and we are all better able to repair them. All fall, we've been providing ideas to care for our tender hearts, minds, and spirits. If you have not already, please start putting strategies in place today for how you are going to nurture yourself. If you need ideas, Lynn and I love talking about spiritual practices with people, so feel free to talk to us after the service or by email or in the coming days and weeks. Things like spiritual practice, exercise, watching birds at the feeder, witnessing the sunrise or sunset, practicing gratitude for the gift of this community, for one another, for another day to live, for the food on the table, for candles, for music, for stories, for poetry. This poem is by our friend and colleague, the Reverend Audette Fulbright, slightly adapted with Audette's permission. Audette, to give you some context for those who don't know, Audette is currently serving the UU congregation in Asheville, North Carolina, which after the hurricane, you might wonder how she could write anything, but she is. And this is one of those writings. I want you to know that you are not alone. And because this is true, there is still the possibility of everything. The trick is that you must stay in the world and persist with your heart ready to receive. This is dangerous, just like it's always been. But you find your path forward by looking for the beauty of flowers and icicles, by listening for the singing of friends and the laughter of babies, by savoring the redolent warmth of baking bread, and paying close attention to the wisdom of those who have traveled this road before you. Now is the time for courage and for new forms of peacemaking, the kind that begins in your bones, starts with your forgiving the faltering of your own heart, and remembers that taking risks to save those you love was always part of the bargain. You are not alone. And so the truth is that we must do all we can to save everyone we can. Not just those we understand, but also those whose minds are inscrutable to us. No one is disposable. It's a hard truth, but our faith is a demanding one. And we can do hard things together.
We asked each of our bread bakers to share the ingredients of their bread and to include love as one of the ingredients that they mixed in. Nourishing this community with love at the center of the bread, of our worship, of our conversations, of our congregational meetings, of holiday gatherings with friends and family is a critical need. We need to be nourished. But just like we need different kinds of food for our dietary needs or preferences, nourishing can be different for each of us too. Maybe nourishing for you looks like asking for help so that you are not stressed out, cleaning and cooking all by yourself or doing all the things. Maybe nourishing looks like asking the host if you can bring dessert or flowers or a food blessing. Many of us are not so good at asking for help. It might be time we got better at it. Not all of us are so good at noticing that someone else is doing a lot, and maybe we could offer to help in some way. It's probably time to get better at that too. Our families, our schools, our workplaces, our congregations, neighborhoods, our communities need us to get better at these things post haste. Whether you celebrate this holiday season quietly alone in a way that feels scrumptious to you, or if you are nourished by gathering in a group, maybe quietly, maybe robustly, whether you follow a recipe or cook from memory or by taste, we hope that all of your days are measured in love. May it be so. May each bite of bread help us remember that we are interdependent and that each of us matters. Our faith is a demanding one, but we can do hard things together. Let us measure our days in generosity, in justice, and equity.
Let us find and create places to come together, to make memories. Let us connect around tables or near the fire where pluralism and transformation are valued and celebrated.
And with hearts full of gratitude, let us measure our lives in love.